Maybe I'm ready.
You're online. Here.
So if I could call this meeting of the Fraser Planning Commission to order, please, with a roll call.
Katie Souls.
Ryan Sirkvinick.
And Margaret, are you online?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
we've got you. Thank you,
Okay.
Margaret.
Yep.
And Andy Miller. That's the four we have tonight. Okay, so a call for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, the consent agenda tonight is the minutes from October 22nd. Call for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So
So-
moved.
Margaret moved.
Second.
Second, Brian, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thanks. Okay, open forum tonight. Please limit your time to 3 minutes and for any items that are not on the agenda. If anybody in the audience that wanted to talk about anything other than what's on the agenda? Anybody online, Antoinette, or?
If anybody online would like to speak, please raise your hand.
Okay. So tonight is the main agenda item, other than a few odds and ends, is the review of the draft Fraser Forward Comprehensive Plan. So the staff review.
Thank you, Chair Miller and Planning Commission. So I don't really have a formal presentation this evening. I did just want to spend a few minutes kind of scrolling through the plan document itself, talking through how it's structured, and certainly open it up for any discussion by the Planning Commission and the public here in the room and online for any feedback, comment, and initial review. So table of contents page. We do have a executive summary, just a brief overview of kind of the purpose of this plan. And I could maybe zoom out a little bit. There we go, it's better. Kind of our 6 core themes, which have been discussed previously with the Planning Commission and Board. The initial section is kind of a look at Fraser today. It talks about the planning process, previous plans that were referenced, and a little bit about the history of Fraser. Copies a lot, frankly, from the previous comprehensive plan. The Fraser Today section has a lot of existing conditions type of data, things like population and demographics, housing data, economic data, transportation data, and things like that. The next section, community voices, details, the feedback and public input process that we went through up to this point, starting with a community survey over a year ago and a couple open houses earlier this year, and just talks about at a high level some of the feedback that was collected through those various means of public engagement. And then kind of the bulk of the plan is this section 4, which we have talked about. It is organized into vision statements at the highest level, moving down into goals, strategies, and actions, getting to more detailed steps or actions to take. And also the way the plan is organized, there are 4 sections corresponding to the 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. And within those 4 sections, the topics are kind of categorized in a way to, try and categorize items that are more closely related. So downtown vision, housing, and economic vitality make up the spring section. This section is where we also have our conceptual downtown vision plan for the Clayton Court area. Go back to maybe single page view here. And just scrolling through this again, the intention isn't to read through every single one of these, but certainly if there's a specific item, specific topic that the planning commission or public would like to look at and review in more detail during this meeting, staff is certainly happy to do so. The fifth section of the plan kind of takes these vision, goal, strategy, action statements and organizes them into an implementation matrix. So this will be a valuable tool for town staff, our board of trustees, and the planning commission to utilize in the future to identify priorities and initiatives for the town to take on in the coming years that are in alignment with this comprehensive plan. So things have an identified priority level, a rough estimated cost, and a time frame identified. And
Okay, you just jumped to the end, huh?
yeah. So again, don't want to dwell on any specific detail, but happy to, dive into anything if there's a request to do so. And the final element after the implementation matrix are our future land use maps. Again, these have been presented to the public at various times throughout this year, our open houses and public meetings with our board and planning commission. Kind of explains the purpose of what these maps are for, and what they are depicting both within the town's boundaries on this map here, as well as within the 3 mile, what's called the 3 mile plan in terms of future annexations. Lastly, there is an appendix which currently just contains results from our first community survey. It will contain additional public feedback that we received from our open houses, as well as the feedback we received through this process over the next month prior to adoption. So if there's any particular locations in the plan you would like to take a closer look at, I'm happy to do so.
So one typo, I think, page 34, if you go to that.
Mhm.
Safeway Park.
It talks about over 40 miles and 5,000 zip codes.
Notice that's good.
Yeah, so that comes from some data that one of these sub-consultants on the team had. I forget the specific software that they use, but it essentially looked at cell phone and other location-based data to identify the I guess zip code of origin for people visiting
Oh,
various.
it includes all the zip codes of all the people that have shopped at Safeway.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So I think we can definitely have some more clarification on this and make sure that
Well,
data is included in the appendix as well. But that's just meant to show that,
Well, the trade area really would be more people that are there regularly, not really somebody that visits once from Chicago. So I don't know. No big deal, but
yeah,
it just kind of jumps out at you.
jumps
go,
out.
Yeah, it'd be good to clarify it.
yeah.
I think,
I'll
link to
even
it.
I'll leave a note to add some more context to that. I think again it's based on the definition of trade area that economic subconsultant utilized, and again just to show
It's
that
kind of neat to know that's quite a, if you put pins in the map, it
Yeah.
would be pretty impressive. for sure.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, truly as a a resort and destination community, we receive a lot of visitation from all over the state, all over the country. So yeah, visitors make up a large
Yeah.
geographic trade area.
I have I have a list of little minor things,
Sure.
but yeah, regarding that one, I think he just needs to state something along the lines of people from 5,000 different zip codes have visited, not that that's who we get to keep the doors open. There was another one on page 32. I didn't love the graph with the houses because at the top it says like 2018 to 2022, and then it talks about the 58% and 95%, and it's like of the 58%, 95% of whatever it says,
Mhm.
vacation homes. I don't know. When I see a date range. I expect one graph to be the first year and the other graph to be the second year.
Yeah.
2018 and 2022 in this case, and it doesn't show. I don't know. It's pretty unclear.
No, I agree with that. I think the reason why there's a range of dates here is because the data source comes from census data, what's called the American Community Survey, or ACS, which is based on data over a 5-year period. So it kind of smooths or averages out that data. However, I do think it is misleading, and it's not maybe needed in the title of this graphic to have that date range, and also showing that 95%, it's 95% of the 58%, and maybe not having the home scaled that way, just to make it more visually clear. It makes it seem like, again, the graphic on the right should be, it's representing a smaller share of the total that's on the left. So it's almost maybe backwards in a sense.
Or fill the house up 95% with one
Right.
color.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have one house.
Comment, or you want to have open discussion? What?
Uh,
We will in a couple minutes. Yeah, Clark, let us run through a few things. Yeah, we will. Yes, yeah. Have some other ones, Brian, or?
Not worth bringing up, but I'll just
Okay.
send an email to Garrett.
Sure. Okay.
Just
Yeah.
typos and stuff.
Hey, I was thinking about some things that I thought that would be good to add. It was in the, around page 111 TSI.
Which page, Katie? I'm sorry.
I think it's 111. I stopped at 111. So where do I have a page number here? It's probably around, it's TSI 1, the first one in that section. I think that we should add snow melt facility, because we're doing a lot of snow storage and we're concerned about snow melt and water, contaminated water getting into the Fraser River. And that could be something that we could look at establishing with, along with Green County
Yeah,
and possibly the town of Winter Park.
because we're running out of space for snow storage
Yeah.
too, so.
Yep. So a way to deal with snow, capture the water, and be able to return it to our river without a lot of contaminants in it.
Yeah.
So I didn't see anything in the plan about a snow melt facility, but I think I'd like to see that added, maybe included in the matrix.
Yeah, so
And in that same section, I was thinking maybe a bullet that just says on the, keep snow melt storage away from the Fraser River,
yeah,
because that's
Consider-
been an issue and a problem, and it's just what we've always done, and Town of Winter Park's always done it. We're getting better, but I
We
think
do
that's
have
a goal.
talk about stormwater. That
Mhm.
could be mixed in with the stormwater discussion too, because that's
Yeah,
very much the same issue, so.
yep.
Natural treatment of stormwater is the way you phrased it, which,
Yeah, and on that, on 3.1, I thought just to clarify, and protect the Fraser River, it has to do with runoff.
Mm.
Managing green. And I'm not there on my iPad, because my iPad's slow. I have to zip up there. And that's the last bullet. Just to clarify that we want to protect the Fraser River. Because the term green, people generally know what green is, but it's also color. I don't know if that needs to be clarified or if we just want to stick with that.
I do believe there is a reference to types of green stormwater infrastructure
there
elsewhere.
is, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Good.
yeah, natural based. Something we didn't do a very good job of over on our project. It's, to me, speaks to open, not piping stormwater, but retaining stormwater and natural features and
Okay.
ways to settle out basically constructed wetlands.
Yeah, constructed
Yeah,
wetlands.
Yeah.
And do we mention constructed wetlands in that section?
Well, it talks about, it talks about the methods that would lead to that, so.
Okay, and that's included. I just
I
didn't
think- I
read
think
the
it's
whole
pretty-
thing yet.
I think it's pretty clear. Yeah.
Okay. Garrett, okay,
Yeah, here
you're good with that.
yeah, so again, there are a lot of sections that do have some overlap. This sustainability and natural resources 1.8 talks about stormwater management, and it does have a bullet point about encouraging and incentivizing things like rain gardens, bioswales, permeable pavements, and other green infrastructure for stormwater management. So
Okay.
again, there are a lot of overlap. One thing I will note, because it was requested by you all, within the implementation matrix, we have a column called Other Applicable Policy. It's currently blank. Unfortunately, staff was not able to fill out that column in time for publication of this draft plan.
Mhm.
But during this, public review period, staff will work to fill out that column and essentially identify areas of overlap between these different.
Cross-referencing.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that there are clear cross references. So,
Wonderful.
in your point, seeing something under the town services and infrastructure section, and you feel like it doesn't speak to green stormwater maybe as strongly or appropriately, this matrix will point you to the sustainability and natural resources section to just to better understand how, again, overlapping sections cover. Yeah.
And future staff members and community members and board members. Great. On IGC, 6.1, it references open lands or open space, and I thought that we should include Colorado Open Lands as a potential partner in that, because you talked about HTA and the county and all that,
Yeah, absolutely.
taking the place for local land trust. And dark sky, I read something where it's briefly mentioned. Is there something where we dive deeper into dark sky in this plan?
It talks about homeowners associations being well on board and somewhat about regulatory, but
The I know Dark Sky International has an office down in Boulder, and I think, did you go to the presentation at our last conference? Anyway, it was really interesting, and I would like to kind of push the dark sky thing a little bit more. And one of the things they did is they had a slide that showed somebody's backyard and a bright white light shining on the person's back, off their porch. And somebody at the gate, you could not see them. But with the gold colored lights, you could see that person quite clearly. So they have found that the cities that are going dark sky are using these gold colored lights because they're not as invasive. And they found that the really bright colored lights en masse confuses wildlife and birds when they're migrating. So I would like to take a deeper dive into that dark sky and make it a goal on our matrix and make it a 2 and really include the cost for the town of Fraser to switch out our lights over time.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. So this section, sustainability and natural resources 1.9, does speak to reducing light pollution,
Okay.
but I think it would be very appropriate to add an action item, pursue designation of Fraser as a dark sky community. I know that's a process that we could go through and look into strengthening some of our ordinances around that.
Yeah, and just by pursuing that, we would move towards some of those changes.
right.
It's a heavy lift, but it would be amazing. Do that. Okay, I think that was it for my comments for now.
So on page 91, when we talk about fees,
Mhm.
I think it's important to balance this with at least some mention of affordability. No, I mean, we're talking about the updating fees with the fire district, with all the different agencies and us, fees in lieu of. Um, we've got to balance that and really talk seriously about keeping our community affordable, so.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there's some mention in the plan, a couple places, of the Elk Creek Trail that would run from Fraser, from the Fraser River to County Road 72.
Mhm.
I think it'd be a bit more expansive. That trail could have the, depending on how the developments go and what happens upstream from 72, but that could be a regional trail that could connect out into the national forest. So there's a lot of trail infrastructure up Elk Creek.
Sure. Yeah. Let me see where the most appropriate.
I know it's in the action items, but
Yeah,
it's also
page
mentioned in a couple different
120.
places. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 120 mentions it in the action items,
And
but I
then,
think it was mentioned one other place in here too,
Mhm.
so.
yeah. So just so I have it up on the screen for everyone, it's this action item here at
Right,
the
there we go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Downtown Vision 1.4.
Margaret, did you have anything?
Nothing that you haven't already brought up.
Okay. Anything else from Brian or Katie?
You good?
Let's open for some
That's it for
input
now.
from the public if we could. Any comments and input on the draft plan?
Hi, Colonel Quinn, for the record, Fraser. The thing I'd like to dive in deeper on is the economic development piece. When we get to that, I just wanted to also make some comments about Katie's snow issues. As I walk the town most mornings, most of the plowing done by the town and on our side roads are plowed directly to the streams.
Yeah.
And I can show you pictures of all that if you want. The idea of trying to have a snow melt facility would be tough. You don't get much water out of snow, but it comes, as you know. Actually building a border between the highway and the stream and our roads and the streams would be better, so that the water has a place to settle, so the salts and the sands settle out of it first. The main snow storage that you guys have right now is on County Road 8 and 40. There's no barrier between that and that stream. That snow melts directly into the stream. We should put some kind of wattles or something over there for sure, because a lot of that goes in that area. Then on St. Louis Landing, I noticed they started the two buildings, and I kind of have an idea what the parking is. Are they putting in the underground tanks like all the other developments have to do?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay, I'm just making sure, because that we're doing it, we need it. And then Katie, to your dark skies, a lot of the issues are the town buildings.
Oh, yeah, there's all over.
Yeah.
There's,
So yeah, and then the streetlights.
yeah.
The Fraser Trail, the little log cabin over there, has a light that shines straight across into the river, like it's a super bright light. Anyway, but the
Okay.
economic development was the one, because, we've been trying to do that since 1979, that I know of, but 2010 is when they really put it on the board about trying to come up with a year-round community. And as we know, to get a year-round community, we need more housing units to support those businesses year-round. And the number you just showed us, we're shrinking in year-round housing, not growing. So if we could dive into that a little bit, I'd like to see what the plan says.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Parnell. Any other comments from the public?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Clark Lipscomb for the record. Just, a few observations. I feel like a lot of the comments that were made in either workshops, or, the Post-it note things to me is a joke, but I don't think those are productive at all, but I also don't think a lot of the comments that were made were effectively addressed in this, and I don't see them addressed. Like, and I think that one of the core problems that I have is the lack of a picture of all of Fraser. It seems very focused on Old Town Fraser, downtown Fraser, and it's missing some core components. So that I think is really important. One, I mean, and there's, by the way, a lot of conflicts through this. It seems to be written by people without any coordination. For instance, okay, uh, there's the section on vacation rentals that Brian touched on. And it talks about how there's a fewer percentage of homes uh, occupied today in Fraser than there was in 2000, significantly less. However, it completely fails to address the fact of there's been nearly 900 homes built in Fraser since 2000. So it doesn't talk about the added homes. Okay. Then you go into the population section, and the population section, off the top of my head, was like 900 people in 2000, and it's 1,400 people today. So how are 500 more people living in so many, it's very misleading. And I think it was crafted by someone against vacation rentals and second homes and trying to put a spin on that rather than focus on the population growth that's happened from good developments happening in our community. Okay. So I read documents like this and I think the first thing I think is, how is this going to benefit anyone trying to attract investment to Fraser? Okay. Because to me, it's great to have the goals for trails and clean water. I'm there 100%. Dark skies. I'm going uber dark sky compliant on the Grand Park Mountain. But we have great trails and we have beautiful outdoor stuff. And there's been a lot of great things done on that. But we're lacking a lot of still core basic public services that aren't spoken to here. And what really is missing is the concept of, Andy, I think maybe your son's moved back to town now, but he was gone for a long time. But, think about somebody that raises their kids here. Kids, leave, go to school or get out of high school, can't get a job that they feel is going to create the quality of life they want, or they can't form their family here, whatever, and they leave. And, it's funny that the towns that I grew up, or the town that I grew up in, the large majority of my life, so many of my friends still live there. I mean, it's like a generational town, right? Their parents and their grandparents are there and they all live, next door to each other, close by, work in the family businesses, so on and so forth. I think what's sorely missing here is, how do you create a stronger, better economy in the bounds of Fraser, which, by the way, include the largest chunk of land that's not spoken to at all, Rendezvous and Grand Park, in the study, completely ignored in this study. How do you how do you kind of improve the economics of the area to create that kind of multi-generational community where kids have opportunities to grow and to meet other people and make their families, et cetera. So I'd like to have kind of a step back and address a couple of those things. It talks about a downtown, okay? And I think we have two downtowns. Okay, so you're completely missing the village at Grand Park. Rendezvous is now building a hotel. They're going to do some commercial stuff. They have 60,000 square feet. We have the large majority of it, and we planned it, and we're building a lot of it. Not spoken to, core basic public services that were on my bucket list, built since 2009, the Grand Park Community Rec Center, our public rec center. Huge asset to the community. Unbelievable how many people and cars there are there now. Amazing. Just expanded. And I mean, the thing's 15 years old and they had to expand it. The bowling alley theater, great asset for the community, also run by the public rec center or rec district, also a public facility. The hospital, how many towns would kill to have a hospital? And this speaks to actually medical being a reason that people leave the area. So there's no recognition of the fact that there's a hospital now in Fraser.
I think it's mentioned. I read something about
But it also speaks to the fact that people leave because there's no medical care in town. Well, there is now. I mean, I think it speaks to the fact that this was started in 24 and the medical center was just finished. So again, there's a contradiction there because I think we should be touting. I mean, I got to tell you, I've had one surgery, one procedure at the surgery center in Granby done by this group. It's like the Four Seasons of surgery facilities.
Wonderful.
Fantastic. So I highly recommend it and I support them in that area. In particular that I'm speaking about, the Village of Grand Park houses 3 of the largest employers in the town of Fraser, right? Cornerstone, Grand Park, the rec district, their offices are there, and the hospital. Those are 3 of the largest employers in Fraser not spoken to in this plan.
They are.
Um,
They are mentioned in here. Yes.
okay, well, I guess I missed it then. So I'd like to kind of,
Sales pitches. So if we're shooting on it,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
really didn't see them as you look through it, then I think it's
Emphasize
Yeah.
worth
Yeah.
our
And it-
time to bring out those things that really
Exactly.
are desirable about our
Yeah.
community.
Exactly.
and I think, well, you guys have heard me at meetings talk about, I've have, very good friends and homeowners that have lived here until their kids were in 5th grade at Fraser Elementary, and then they left. There's no mention of how stellar the Fraser Elementary is. It is one of the top rated elementary schools. But there's no mention of 6 through 12 education, the goals for education, and higher education. If there is, I missed it.
Yeah, I thought that was in the 3 mile plan.
Okay. But I think
Yeah.
that's a core component, guys, that in my 10-year plan and the only item that was on my bucket list for core basic public services when I moved here that I wanted to achieve was the last one, the one that I didn't get done is schools.
Yeah.
And I'm still a supporter of that. I don't have the need that I had,
Mhm.
20 years ago when my kids were born, but still, I think what's really critical when you look at and some of the communities that were mentioned in here that are of similar size, they all have their own school in town. And that to me is what kind of creates that really fabric that our county is not a community. Our town, the town of Fraser and really Fraser Winter Park is a community. We all know each other, we see each other,
Yeah.
et cetera. So, I mean, I think important to focus on some of those key components. And then I didn't pick up a lot on infrastructure and infrastructure goals. Having a robust, strong infrastructure system, keeping up with the growth, staying on the cutting edge of improvements and like I know our sewer plant will need to be expanded once again, but it's far better. I mean, the one that was here and what we have today is light years ahead of what was here when I moved here.
It's there.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Any case, I mean, there's things like that, the underpass at Leland Creek made a huge opportunity for the town, opened up all kinds of better trail access, safer trail access. That to me is, a huge asset, links us well with Winter Park and Leland Creek and the Western Forest Service area that we all interconnect in, and frankly opens up the Grand Park West Mountain for development, which is what obviously we're pursuing and proceeding with now. So, I mean, I just think some of those things, staying ahead and having plans in place that we as a town are committed to having a quality water system and quality water. And, the old parts of the system have an actual work plan to
And that's
replace them and do reserves.
Yeah, and that's TSI 3.1 that he's put up on the screen here. So
Okay.
the water and wastewater.
And
stuff.
sewer. Okay.
Yeah.
I just think it needs to like maybe kind of be like, I don't know, it's almost like having a preparedness statement of some sort.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to speak to, like we want to have these things, but it's a whole nother to dedicate ourselves to having it available, ready to go, et cetera. We know we're growing.
Yeah.
We know Rendezvous still has build out. We know Grand Park has a substantial amount of build out, and there's other parcels in town, plus what y'all are redoing down here.
Yeah.
So we can make those systems even better than they are today. And we all know that.
Yeah. West Mountain is referred to as a PUD, which it is.
Yep.
And we're 100% behind all the planning efforts that can take place over there to create the other, like, what is it, 3/4 of town or more?
It's probably
far
more
as
than that.
acreage
Yeah,
goes, yeah.
it's a lot of land.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's really it. I mean, eventually, think about it from a perspective of somebody who knows nothing about Fraser, and we're trying to attract a restaurateur here and I'm going to go share this with them, or a manufacturer.
Yeah.
You know, I think of like Smart Wool and starting in Steamboat, or, you know, I've got a friend doing Honey Stinger now. I mean, they've done a great job of incubating actual real businesses that manufacture thing and that become part of our lives. And they employ a lot of people.
Yeah, that's
And
not,
they've got a lot of smart people doing those things, but that's not in here from an economic development perspective.
and we've talked about the pole yard in here, obviously, but that's not even in town. Perhaps there's industrial uses that could take place in part of West Mountain. So, I mean, this is some of the opportunities, you're right, that we need to look at, but
Yeah.
look at with you as the director of the planning over there. So,
Yeah, and I don't think that, you know, I can tell you that we probably wouldn't be doing industrial uses on the West Mountain, but
well, but these are the planning questions that
yeah.
you're
No,
right,
and but
need to be
I
asked.
mean, you know,
Yeah.
are there other opportunities in and around town that could add
Yeah.
to our job base,
We
et
could
cetera? I
look
mean,
around.
manufacturing doesn't
Yeah.
generate a lot of sales tax, but there's opportunities around here that we could probably do that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And there's, you know, there's a lot of, I mean, we just did a presentation, you know, 29 businesses needing to be filler spaces between
Yeah.
Winter Park and Fraser that are basically empty business spaces.
Yeah.
There's opportunity to focus on filling those first.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I know I've got 40,000 square feet I need to figure out. That's a challenge.
Yeah.
But I'm just asking you to kind of consider the audience. Who's your audience? And what are the goals of this plan? That's what's really critical to me. And final question is, are you going to, I assume you're still taking comments and edits now that this is kind of a published near final draft?
Mhm.
Is that right? Okay,
Definitely.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I'll get, I mean, there's some little clarification. I'll send those to, so I'm not wasting y'all's time.
Sure.
I'll email those to Garrett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, probably typos and stuff that you guys picked up.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's a really good point that he brings up that I didn't think about. You know, I read through most of this and I was like, yeah, I think that's a good fit. But he's right. This is essentially an advertisement for Fraser.
Yeah.
And
It's a guiding document for staff,
right.
future boards, and
Also,
yeah, an advertisement
right.
and a sales pitch. So
And is the other downtown covered in here?
Very lightly.
Yes. I will say, so I think the suggestion to make this Fraser Today section have more of a sales pitch type of aspect to it is a great suggestion
Yeah.
and definitely one that we will implement. I mean, in this land use paragraph here, it does talk about how Grand Park by and large, today is mostly undeveloped and therefore is a development opportunity. But just by and large, I think the way this section is written was more of a summary of existing conditions analysis and not. It does need that aspect of talking up the town and serving as that bit of a sales pitch as well. Absolutely.
So one thought is, for our special districts, almost all of them have received accolades for exceptional performance. Our library district, our recreation district and all that.
Yeah.
So to be able to, make a note of them and then maybe with an asterisk, so at the end, people can reference those accolades that they've received to say that, I mean, these, 10 years from now, who knows? Hopefully they're performing as well, but where they're at now.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good
Yeah.
That could fit in with that list of agencies that are part of this planning process. Or
Yeah,
the
and
document.
it kind of disappears in that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking because it's,
Yeah.
but it's thought, yeah,
Yeah.
or referenced in both,
Yeah.
cross-checked or something.
Yeah.
Cool.
Any other
Thank you.
comments from the audience?
Okay.
Yeah, hello, I'm John Ladd. I'm HOA president for Sun River Townhomes.
Okay.
And so Mark did the big picture. I'm going to go into the details. You have several comments in terms of transportation infrastructure. They all include taking Sun River Drive, which is our private road that enters into its general area of the Sun River Townhomes, the garages, Power to the People, and Margaret's house, and turning it into a road that will be the major egress for people who are dropping off their kids at the daycare or if the post office moves across the street, they'll probably use it, as well as these 129 units or whatever it is that are being built up in St. Louis Crossing. There is, there has been, we fortunately have a resident who is very good at searching databases and has found a tremendous amount of written material in your files. And I don't want to take a long time. We can go through in detail, but I just want to pick up on one of these. And that is in 2003, we had put some landscaping up on the southwest side of our property. And it blocked an area where between our parking lot and Eastham and Doc Susie corner that people had gone in and out just informally. It was just dirt, and there was nothing there. The fire department objected because this was a secondary access for all of that complex, not just our townhomes, but power to the people and lodges, et cetera. And so it started a long negotiation that started so early 2003 and ended in July of 2004 when the town council approved a memo or MOU, a memo of understanding between us, our HOA, and the town. In that, we were allowed to block off that access with a removable chain. And that was our right to do that. And as part of that MOU, we since have done that. And over the last 21 years, and really for even longer, going back till 1993, when we first subdivided the townhomes from the rest of the property, it's been everything. And in these records, the town has said that is a private road, that's not ours, we're not responsible, you got to pay for it, you got to do everything with it, we don't want it. There's comments in this 2004 period where people are actually saying, yeah, we have no intention, this is a private road. And we've gone, given that word, and then in this document, put landscaping in, planned out areas for snow storage. And most importantly, we have parking, which is, if you look at the original plat, which is from 1993, I know somebody sent something back to one of the homeowners and inquired about this, sent a 1994 document that does not have the crucial thing on it, but that's not our document. That's between C.B. Jensen and the people who were he was subdividing his remaining land with. But on the original document where we vacated a portion of the original Sun River Townhomes complex to CB, it shows parking area excluded. It's not a right of way. It's not a road. It's parking for our west building. There is about 10 feet.
I couldn't understand. You said it's parking for
The west building of our complex.
thank
We
you.
have 3 buildings in that
Gotcha.
complex. 2 are along the river. The other one is closer to Highway 40.
Okay.
It would be right where this road is. So you would be taking away our parking areas. The 2 units, because our building is at a diagonal, is not north-south, the south end of it is much closer to our western edge of our property. And you would be taking away certainly one of the units and probably the second unit to their parking. And you might look at the problem and you say, oh, well, there's a little space right over to the left. You could have them parked there, but no, because that is the one place where we have an open area further down to the south and east where we can actually store snow. And we have a gigantic pile by March every year where that stuff is stored. If the cars are parked there, they can't get in. We have no storage, basically. And the only storage would be along between our west fence and the road, which you would use for your road. And so this causes a huge problem. One, we could possibly fit a couple cars in by tearing down a fence on our southwest, on our south end of our west side of our property, which we just rebuilt 2 years ago, which cost $55,000, by the way. And tear that down, cut down a bunch of nice pine trees that were planted a long time ago. Again, with the assumption that this was our property to work on, and put in parking there. And we'd probably be able to work something out, but then the people would not have parking next to their units. One of those units is the farthest south unit, which is the one most impacted, does do short-term rentals. You require not only when you're building the units that there be parking assigned, but for your permits for short-term rental, that they have parking for 2 units. Well, he has those. He won't be able to rent his unit out if we can't find some parking for him. The unit next to him, which would be also probably affected, she did not rent it this year, but she's had a license through 2024, and I think she may try to do it again. And again, this parking was there. If you look on the 1993 plat, the vacation plat, you will see that parking is defined there. So that then brings me to figure 13, which is on page 119. And that's where you have a whole list of the classification of all the action items. And for priority on this connecting Safeway to Sun River Drive, the priority is 2 or vital. The cost is $1, the $1 sign, which is 0 to 25,000. When I looked at that, I was like, okay. You know, the costs that we're going to have are going to be way more than that. We just, in fact,
That's just for the feasibility. That's not for the road. That's just to look at the feasibility. So none of this is set in stone.
Okay. All right.
None of it.
Okay.
This is all just
Yeah.
the whole point of this. The reason
Yeah.
I came and talked to you guys
Yep.
is just because we want more options other
Yeah.
than Highway 40.
Yeah.
Going down
yeah.
Sun River Drive might not be the answer.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just mentioned as something to explore.
Well,
And so nothing is set in stone.
okay. Fine. But it keeps popping up. And it's gonna cost us a whole lot to reconfigure our whole property. It's sort of going to set off, one thing after another. It's going to cost us a lot of money, and we're going to lose property value. And I will remind you that in Colorado eminent domain law, that if people suffer from the remaining property that they have, suffer a loss in value, that the government agents that's taking it from them has to compensate them for that.
Sure.
So it's going to be expensive. So again, I would like to just mention one thing that was brought up between, I think it was our lawyer and you, Michael, when they met, is going through the vacant lot that's 2 lots to the west of us off of Eastham.
Yep, Ron Anderson's lot.
Yeah, it's Don, yes, it's his lot. And then there is that Winter Park Property Management, their facilities building there. That would take that down, but that would be an inconvenience, short-term inconvenience to them. For us, it would be a permanent loss of value and a permanent loss of just our privacy, And
So John, there's
you
obviously,
could do that, it would fit better. Another problem that you'd have is that trying to go north and into Park Avenue, that's a blind corner, and you need to go out there once we finally get snow and look where the piles of snow is. It's a blind corner. People are coming down Park Avenue, especially employees of Power to the People. They go straight through there. I go out early in the morning, I work up at the ski area, and I've learned now to take this huge wide U-turn to get away so I can see stuff. But if you've got all these people coming around that sharp curve, you know, there's gonna be all sorts of accidents there.
okay.
It's, okay,
Yeah,
But for
so John, I
future
appreciate it.
planning,
There's
yeah,
obviously a lot of
yeah.
work that needs to be done here
yeah,
it sounds like the town staff and the mayor and will continue working with you. So,
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
all right.
Yeah, we want
And-
this to be collaborative. We're not
Yeah.
looking to take anything from you guys.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
we just,
And Mr. Lund, just, we do have, just recently got a proposal from a traffic engineer just to do the initial feasibility study for that access and also 2 other points of access. Because again, there could be a scenario where this access is not warranted, but there could be a scenario where it does have the justification to it. But that'll be all in public meetings. We don't anticipate any executive session with this, and we want to invite you guys to that conversation and to that data collection standpoint. And that'll be very well done in a public meeting. So I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that, and want to definitely invite you to those.
Okay,
Thanks, John.
thank you.
Any other comments from the public?
So I'm Justin. I'm also from the Sun River Townhomes. Try and keep this relatively short. Three numbers.
Justin, I'm sorry, your last name?
La Francois.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. 3 numbers trying to remember here, so I'm going to say them up front. We got 10, 20, and 36. So got to keep those in my brain. John kind of touched on the personal impact and how it affects Sun River Townhomes. I want to touch on really the feasibility compared to the town plan you just shared. So for starters, I've heard that it may not be the answer quite a few times. Can you go to page 55, 56, and 57 in that document?
Yes.
So this is a good page here. Do you see that dotted line kind of towards the middle of all of these pictures? From what I can tell, that is the proposed road. So I keep hearing it may not be the option, but I've never seen a document that shows anything other than that proposed road. And so it's a little tough to continue hearing, you know, this is a early conversation, may not happen, but then every document we see has it outlined as the option. Another page I want to point out is page 119, which was just referenced by John, so we don't really need to jump there, but we can skip over that and go to page 118. So 118, there's a section, I think it's the third one from below the middle. Add sidewalks. So it's interesting to see that because it's stating that the goal is to, thank you for blowing that up, add sidewalks to existing and proposed roadways and ensure all spaces meet the Americans with Disabilities Act. So not a professional in any of this whatsoever, but the 3 numbers I brought up at the beginning, 10, 20, and 36, have to do with the widths of the current easement being discussed. My understanding is that's about 10 feet. My understanding of the 2-way road is it should be roughly 20 feet. So even if we cut that to 1-way, we're down to 10 feet. And the ADA is looking for about 36 inches, which is 3 feet on either side of the road. I don't understand how that would fit in that space. I don't know if that's been considered. Is it consideration of using more of the land to open up the walkway, or what are the current plans for that?
Yeah, no current plans is the short answer.
Is that something that will be discussed in the near future? Is that something that we can find documentation on?
Yeah, so yeah, as Michael said, like we're working through that now, and that'll all be in public meetings. So definitely come to those and, you know, be a part of the conversation.
Okay, thank you.
thanks for doing the math.
Yeah.
And I think maybe just to follow up on the question of why aren't the other potential options shown? I think part of the purpose is, well, I guess first I'll talk about maybe what some of those other potential options could be. if I could turn on this. The Wapiti Townhomes and Quail Drive, there's currently a gate right at this point here as well. If that gate were to be removed and that opened up, that would allow, north-south traffic between County Road 8 and County Road 72. Another potential option would be extending Wapiti Drive through this property here. I will say, I believe the reason why Sun River was identified in the downtown concept plan is just because of the area that was examined in that plan focused on the Clayton Court, Fraser River area and properties that are within our Riverwalk zone district. And that is the only, that is the north-south potential connection that is in that geographic area. So again, there are other options that will be evaluated, not just Sun River, and certainly more to come to that, more to come on that. So, thank you. Yeah.
And then the other option that we've discussed are narrower streets, constricted streets that could be two-way, but you only can get one car through at a time. You see them in Europe quite a bit. You see them in Boulder, places where they're not designed to be used heavily at all. They're designed to slow people way down so that they're not attractive to use as a regular route, but they're a way to make a friendlier street. I gave a book to our town planner called Killed by a Traffic Engineer, and it talks a lot about creative street design that can without speed bumps. I mean, speed bumps are obviously the way that everybody does them, but there's a lot better ways visually to make it difficult for a driver to do bad things, to speed through. And we're having really long conversations. I think we've got an upcoming workshop in the new year on quality of life, having to do with maybe lowering speed limits in town, lowering speed limits on US 40. And a lot of that can be done with speed vans, this technology where the town would contract with a speed van company. The vans move around town. They issue $30 tickets. Just automatically, part of it goes to the company that owns the van, part of it goes to the town, just getting people to slow down. I mean, we've lost 10 people in this county this year. And I can remember a lot of years we didn't lose anybody in traffic accidents. So drivers are becoming more aggressive and we're getting more people. So a lot of this plan and a lot of these questions that are really thorny for you guys because you're in the bullseye of it are because we're just getting so many people and we're getting so many drivers. But the plan talks just constantly about ways that we get people around without being in their cars. And I don't know if we settled on this, but with some of the housing options, possibly lowering parking requirements. If a tenant moves in, they take a pledge that they don't have a car. And so they can get a lower rent because we don't have to build a parking space for them. So there's just, the master plan, I think, does a pretty good job of trying to get us down the road on foot rather than in a car. But these are really tough questions. I mean, this old town was designed fairly haphazardly, and we're having to live with the consequences now. So it's difficult. And you guys all know what a pain it is and almost impossible to get out on the highway sometimes. So anyway, I appreciate the fact that you guys are having to and respect the fact that you're in the bullseye on this. And I'm sure that the town staff and the town board will work publicly and upfront with everybody to try and come up with a solution that hopefully serves the community, but protects you as well. So. Any other comments from the public?
Yeah, we do have Mike and Adrienne online.
Okay, so we've got some online comments.
Mike Scott, can you speak?
Yes, I was still muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. You said that the town was working on these other options. One of those options, as I remember, when we had the meeting at Sun River, CB Miller had brought, or excuse me, CB Jensen had brought that one up and they hadn't looked at it at that time. Then I heard John tonight mention this other one where you've got the vacant lot with the building. Has anyone looked at that? Is that being considered? Or is that also a new option that hadn't been looked at before?
Vacant lot with the building, I'm not sure. Can
Wait,
you clarify the
yeah, which
location?
building is that exactly? 'Cause we've got it pulled up.
I think,
So that vacant lot, well, look at that. So that's
Yeah.
the big building right there.
yeah,
That's a significant.
Is John still there?
yes.
Yeah, John, the maintenance, what's the name of the maintenance company in the building in front of it?
It's Woodard Park Property Man.
Yeah.
So again, it looks to me like if they're coming out of dropping people off the daycare, then that would be a really good situation to consider. And again, you wouldn't be messing up the parking lot of ours and all the problems that we're gonna run into. And John also mentioned most of them, but one of the other points I wanted to point out was that when they switched and built the garages, your minutes talk about how they were worried about there wasn't gonna be enough green space for the original units, and now you're wanting to take away some of that green space that was counted in with our units. So there's a lot of negative factors to ours that I think they need to consider.
And of course, there's a large building there too, so.
We understand.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your time, but yeah, I would really like for him to consider some of these other options for all of us. I mean, everyone that, just like my wife and I've owned it for 36 years, and we've spent a lot of money in Grand County over the years. So the restaurants, Sharky's, we've loved to go to those places and stuff with friends from all over the country. So I feel like we have an important part and we've loved it, but I'm not happy with where it's going right now with what we've done. And again, we've talked to in 2003, we've got trustees and the plan city manager who's saying that, yeah, that they wanted nothing to do with this road. So those are my only comments. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Adrian Scott, can you unmute?
All right. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I just thank you very much for your time. We really, really do appreciate it. And I'm Mike's wife, and I thoroughly respect your comment about the European roads, and we understand that. That's one of the reasons we are in Fraser, is because of the beauty and the quiet. And while I respect your opinion and position, you're putting 129 units filled with families. You're putting 70 plus kids in a daycare and the post office in a road that, whether it's one way or not, if it's one way, it's not going to mitigate the traffic, I feel, the way that you want. And just please picture that volume of traffic that you're wanting to put in our area. And if you have the time, go look at Sun River townhomes, go look at our private drive. And I implore you to do that. And that's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. And then Fritz.
What you've been looking is at Google Maps.
Yes, this is Fritz Westover. I'm joined by my wife, Sabrina, as well today. Sorry I could not be there in person. We purchased also a townhome in Sun River in 2024. And what really drew us to Fraser was being out of Winter Park, being a little more in a town feeling than a city. And as you know, the prices that we bought in Fraser are significantly greater, probably than a lot of other of the townhomes around, and willingness to pay for having that privacy, having aspen trees nearby, having a view of the beautiful landscape. Our unit is the southernmost unit in Sun River. And so it is actually the unit that has been referred to as being the most impacted. We would lose parking. And our master bedroom, main bedroom, is right in front of that parking. So I just want you to hear it from someone who's going to be hearing every car that's passing in front of their glass door, sliding door window. And I have we have a teenage son and a beautiful dog, and this traffic is potentially going to be passing directly in front of our unit. Not to mention the decrease in value that could incur, and we could be underwater on something like this should the town move ahead. Very, very troubling, concerning to imagine this. Really takes the wind out of your sail about moving to a beautiful area and having a second home in a beautiful place like Fraser. And we really are hoping that we can continue to enjoy the standard that we've bought into and invested in with Fraser. And we really do plan to spend a lot of time there, and just wanted to make sure that our voice was heard, having been probably the most impacted of all of these potential townhomes in Sun River, and really highly respect that you're also looking into other considerations as well. Just wanted to thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Not see anybody else online.
Anything more from the board? No. And so, Garrett, what would you, this is really not an action item, but this was a review, right?
Yes, that's correct. So thank you everyone for the public comment on the comprehensive plan. I took a lot of notes here. We do have a survey open online that you can submit any additional feedback through, or you can just email town staff directly. Myself and Assistant Town Planner Alan Sealiff, our email addresses are on the town website, and we will stop taking public comment in about a month on December 19th, and that will allow town staff ample time to take those comments and update the plan as needed to address them. And then we will bring this back as a public hearing in January for a recommendation of adoption.
Are you going to go back to Cushing Terrell and say these are the edits that Planning Commission made? So with the draft, can they color in red or something like that the areas where they've changed it?
Yeah.
So that we know.
Yeah.
Not to read the whole thing again.
I think the next, yeah, absolutely. I think the next version that will be made public, there'll probably be two versions, one where the changes are clear and obvious, and then a clean version for adoption.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Thanks, Garrett.
Yep.
Sure.
Clark Lipscomb for the record again. On the map on page 157 and the identified areas, we talked about this multiple times. And the two prior 10-year comprehensive plans were done correctly, in both Rendezvous and Grand Park that are PDDs were orange. This is showing Rendezvous not as PDD. The large majority of Grand Park east of the railroad tracks not as PDD, and then has a crosshatch over a bubble plan west of the tracks. As we know, the PDD is flexible. Things change, and the town, in fact, has FPDPs now. If you want to show real stuff, you can show that. But the orange, we've asked multiple times, and I've had meetings with Michael and the mayor about this. We'd like the orange turned back on the PDDs. And if you want to show the areas that are actually developed already, fine, but put a crosshatch over those. But the stuff that's not yet planned needs to be like the other areas where you got yellow, green, purple, just it's very misleading. And we prefer to keep a solid shape. Okay. Thank you for addressing that, Garrett.
Okay. All right. Is there any other business from the board? You had a look ahead and a couple of things you wanted to cover.
Yeah, we do have a presentation, kind of a 2025 year in review and a look ahead to next year. I will try to keep it pretty brief, but just wanted to take a moment, given that this is our last Planning Commission meeting of the year, talk about a lot of the success that the town has had, and not just obviously because of planning staff or town staff. It's obviously a result of those in the development community, our board and this body as well, our planning commission. So just wanted to run through a few things, talking about first building permit activity. We did have 84 building permits this year. That's more than the last 2 years. This is just data through October for this year, but looking at those last two bullets there, we only get a very small number of building permits in November and December. This shows building permit applications by month, again, just showing that fairly in line with the last 2 years, but we did have more building permits applied for and received this year. Something that is interesting, building permit valuation this year really was quite higher than the previous two. The reasons for this are some major projects that got started this year, the Spring Hill Suites Hotel, as well as Building C and E in St. Louis Landing. Another fairly significant project that contributed to this that just frankly wasn't on planning's radar because it doesn't require planning review was the interior remodel of Safeway. You know, those projects combined resulted in this pretty significant jump in building permit valuation, which is again just a measure of kind of the value of construction activity happening in the town. Just briefly running through land use applications, we received 13 different applications this past year. 5 were administrative review applications, things like minor site plans for single family residential. The other 8, 3 of them were sketch plans and 5 were applications that require public hearings. Those 8 applications are listed there. So the Planning Commission looked at 4 different sketch plans this year. Again, a lot of text. I don't need to read it all, but various developments in the early planning stages. And the Planning Commission also heard 4 different land use applications. Grand Park West Mountain filing 1, just making some tweaks to their FPDP there earlier this year. The Ascent condominiums, the Village of Grand Park filing 3 final plat, and the major site plan and plat for Centrum. In terms of construction activity, the Middle Park Health Medical Center opened this past June. Very exciting, great asset to the community. And Strom Townhomes, which is the first development right on Clayton Court, adjacent to the Fraser River. They are nearing completion, just pending some final inspections before that's wrapped up. Significant projects that are under construction, the Market Street buildings, the facades are going up and looking nice. The core and shell should be completed early next year. Spring Hill Suites, which I mentioned, broke ground this summer, estimated to be complete early 2027. And St. Louis Landing Phase 1 also broke ground this summer. Those buildings anticipated to be completed in kind of 2 separate timelines. One late next year, one early 2027. And there's a lot of development that is approved and in the pipeline for construction, just going through these quickly. Riverview condos, the Ascent condominiums, Grand Park Elk Creek condos, West Mountain Filing 1, the Alpenglow condos, and last but not least, the Village at Grand Park. So certainly a lot to celebrate in terms of growth and development this year, and lots to look forward to in the pipeline in years to come. In terms of code amendments, the town drafted and implemented 5 different code amendments that are listed here. And we also initiated 2 discussions, which we'll be bringing back early next year. Certainly want to view our municipal code as a living code that we are not afraid to make changes to and adapt over time. And comprehensive plan, as we are nearing adoption, I just wanted to summarize the different public opportunities and feedback through this process as it progressed this past year. In total, there were 11 different meetings with the Planning Commission Board and our Downtown Development Authority Board or DDA Board this past year, as well as those 2 public open houses that were had. And finally, looking ahead to a big wall of text, lots to look forward to next year. Kind of the stuff, the first few bullets are things that are maybe more concrete, kind of first quarter, early second quarter items, things like adoption of the comp plan, the Prop 123 fast track review process that we discussed last meeting, adoption of the wildfire resiliency code that the state has put out. And then some of the other items are things that have been on staff's list for a while that we certainly hope to tackle once the comprehensive plan process is finished. So any questions, comments, thoughts?
Can you include that with this agenda for the public records? We can reference that?
Yes.
Usually that's a lot of work.
Yes.
Well, good job. Thank you to you and Alan and Michael and staff and everyone else. That's
I do have a question or comment.
Sure.
In that list, one of the things that we keep bringing up, and I don't know how we're addressing it, is in the Riverwalk district, trying to get more restaurant, whatever, facing the river. The way the code reads now, you've got to have X amount of, commercial fronting fronting the main street. But I keep going back to, and I think Clark has brought this up a couple times as well, that the thing that would bring people to the Riverwalk district is being able to sit on the deck and have a drink and have a meal overlooking the river. And I don't know that what changes we need to make to facilitate that as a goal for the development in the Riverwalk district. I think we're missing a big opportunity if we don't do something like that.
Yeah, thank you, Margaret. And I just stopped sharing the screen there just because that wasn't on the list. I agree that we should add that to our work plan for next year. I maybe 2 comments on that. I do think the downtown vision plan that's in the comprehensive plan tries to envision both street front and river activation along Clayton Court and could help developers envision how to orient their buildings and public spaces in a way that achieves that activation. But in terms of actually incentivizing it, staff is more than willing to look into and explore various options. I think something that's been suggested by those in the development community is something like a height bonus for more ground floor commercial uses than are currently required in our code. So I think that's one good idea that we can certainly pursue. And I think any good idea, we will certainly pursue it and analyze it and implement it if it's worthy. So
Okay, so it's not on that list though.
I will add it right now before I forget to our internal work plan.
Thank
I
you.
have to agree completely, Margaret. It's kind of disappointing the first building down there doesn't have anything out on the river. So, and it's on the riverfront. So somehow the code's gotta help incentivize that because again, that's our main opportunity of these is sitting by the river. I mean, that's what we envisioned from the very beginning. So. So
Yeah, we
if
can't hear you.
yeah, if you would, that'd be great. I appreciate it.
Got to use the mic. I really can't.
Hi, John Church. Just a question follow on. Did the code disincentivize the developer from including that as part
No.
of the design for that building or prevent it, or was it?
The code basically says 40% of the ground floor has to be that's on Clayton Court or Highway 40 needs to be commercial. And so it didn't clarify that we want it on the river. And so I don't think we really got what we wanted in that first build. And so, yeah, I think what Margaret is saying is how do we change it so that we get that riverfront?
Yeah, I mean, the way I'm understanding it, you would think as the developer, he would have been, or she, all over having that available to him or her. I don't know who developed that strong, but anyway,
Yeah.
so I was trying to see it. Was it the code that prevented it?
No.
Yeah, yes, it was. It absolutely was. That code requires the commercial to be on Clayton Court. Fronting on Clayton Court. That was the flaw. It was poorly written, and it didn't follow the direction of the planning commission on the board. And so the developer would have liked to have had stuff, on the river. Okay. Couldn't do it under the code.
Well, and the existing building, it just couldn't happen with the layout. So. But in the future, yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
gonna work.
He was a
definitely
clean sheet of
kind
paper,
bunch
so probably could have.
even more, because
Yeah.
I don't think there'll be enough room on the ground level for those units to, if they had a restaurant, to not use the back and have access out onto the river
Yeah.
if that ground level was all dedicated. But we're gonna make it even clearer.
Now that I'm standing here, I didn't plan on
Sure.
speaking, but I'm here now, so I guess I will. I recently become a little more involved with the Fraser Valley Arts and the goal of standing up the Center for the Creative Arts.
Yep.
And I heard that discussion. I cracked open your document over dinner tonight and of course saw the 160 pages and choked on my chicken strip and then came down here to learn what was in it. But I will endeavor to read it and provide you with some comments. But the one thing I guess that crossed my mind was you mentioned it's sort of an advertising document tonight. So projects that are sort of envisioned but aren't solid, we're not breaking ground this year. Does it belong in that document as a goal or something we're striving to
The art
achieve?
center's in there.
Is it? Okay, great.
There's a mention, but we can focus on it because it's gonna be awesome.
I like to think so as well. So I will obviously review it and make any comments commensurate with that goal of trying to advertise and sell our community. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks to you for your support of Fraser Valley Public Arts.
Is there any other items from the board? Okay. Call for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Good night, Margaret.
Thank you, Margaret.
Night.
Thanks, everybody.
Be careful out